And we're going to take a moment to notice and discuss. So we're going to be taking about 30 seconds to think in our heads, and then we're going to turn and talk to a partner, and I'm going to ask you to think about, what do you notice about the position of the unit fractions on the number line? So take 30 seconds to look at where we put all of our fractions on a number line, and I'd like you to think about what you notice. And give me a thumbs up when you have an idea or two in your head. Okay. I'm going to have the two of you turn and talk with each other, and the two of you turn and talk with each other, and go ahead and share what you notice about the position of the unit fractions on the number line.
The numerator stays the same and the denominator always changes.
Yeah, what I noticed is there's only one. There's not wait.
And there's wait.
Wait, sorry. What's on the top of the number again? What do you call that?
Numerator,
Sorry.
denominator.
Okay, sorry. Then so on the numerator, they're all ones. That's what I
I
noticed.
just said that.
Wait.
The numerator stays the same.
So my question is, though, did the numerator help us in placing these on the number line?
Not for me.
No, because the numerator you said is all one, that's what makes them unit fractions. So take a look at those denominators and think about how we use the denominators to place them on the number line. And what do you notice is happening the closer we get to a half?
The bigger number is closer to 0.
So talk about that a little bit. What are you noticing and why do you think that is?
The bigger number is closer to 0.
I think that is because the bigger numbers are the smaller pieces, and then the smaller numbers are the bigger pieces.
I noticed that like one side close to the 0 is all like huddled up in 3, and then the other side closer to 1/2 is also in 3.
Okay. Why do you think that is?
Because they're like lower numbers, so they're closer, and then the ones over there are higher numbers, so they're farther from half.
Do you mean the denominators?
Yeah.
So the bigger the denominator, the closer to...
No, the smaller, because these are smaller than...
Sorry, yes. The smaller the denominator, the closer to a half. Okay. And I'd like for you to create a unit fraction that is even closer to 0 than 1/12. So think about that for a moment. Yep. So go ahead and write down your fraction that you're thinking of that's even closer to 0 than 1/12. You can just put your cap on your marker and leave it on the table once you're done. We're just going to go around the table and we're going to share our fractions. And while we're sharing, I want you to be thinking about which of our fractions we created is going to be closer to 0 and how you know. Okay, so we'll start here. What fraction did you write?
114.
114.
115.
115.
Which of these fractions is going to be closer to 0? 1/14 or 1/15?
115. Because, like, if it was like 114, it would be like right here, but if it's 115, it'll be like more near the 0.
Thinking about the size of those pieces, right? We can actually always keep on getting closer and closer to 0 without actually getting to 0, right? So you wouldn't have been able to write the closest number to 0 if you didn't know what everyone else was going to write. Do I have someone that can just place these two fractions on our number line? Sure. Yes, if you need to. Great. Our goal today was to reason about fraction size and location as compared to a benchmark number. And our communication goal was to show and explain the location of a fraction, show why it makes sense. So right now you are going to choose one of two sentences to complete for us. One thing that I learned about placing unit fractions on a number line is Or you can choose one thing that I learned about using a benchmark strategy is. Something that actually surprised me about the sequence of fractions, when I asked them to share out, no one said, oh, I noticed that it's going from a bigger denominator to a smaller denominator. And that made me nervous a little bit, because that was really what we wanted them to see, was that the larger denominator meant that the piece was smaller, so it was going to be closer to 0. What was really encouraging was when they were able to create their own fraction to put on the number line, that they were able to recognize that the denominator had to get bigger than 12 so that the piece was smaller, so it would be closer to 0. And it was really great how they ended up choosing the fractions that they did, and were able to choose from those fractions which one would be closer to 0.